Hi, I'm Reese, and today's question is free will free? Before we get into that, anyway, let's get into the video. Well, right off the bat, you have to think to yourself, do I believe in free will? And if I do, why? And if I don't, why? Which is, if you don't believe in free will, that's cool. Who cares? And if you do, that's cool. Who really cares? But I think it's an interesting question, so I want to explore it. So free will is essentially the ability to do or think whatever you want. So you have the freedom essentially to think whatever you want, and also the freedom to do whatever you want. And with that, a lot of people already have issues with that because it's like, I can't just do whatever I want, which is, okay. And some people, people who don't believe in free will would say, well, there's certain influences or the environment that you grow up in would inhibit free will. So therefore, because you have influences in your environment that you grew up in, it already negates free will. And I would argue, actually, if anything, it just shapes free will into something. The thing about free will is I think it's more of an underlining thing more than just a kind of verbose and out there thing. Freedom is so innate that sometimes people don't notice that they have it. They think just because of the environment or the influences around them that they are forced to make those choices, but you're not. Do they factor in those influences in that environment? 100%. I would be a liar if I told you they didn't. But you are also free to not do those things, even if your influence or if your environment says that's the thing that you should do. Free will is this beautiful thing. It's this gift that allows us to make the greatest inventions and cure the most deadliest of diseases, but also can make the most devastating of weapons and cause the most horrific types of war. And that's the balance that we struggle with. That's the balance of free will, is that everyone has it. Everyone has it. Whether your intentions are good, whether your intentions are bad, everyone has it. And so some people will argue, then shouldn't we take those people's free will away? And my first reaction would be, I agree with you. But then we have to draw this out. We take people's free will away. Where does it end? Does it end with those people? Or do we do what humans always do? And once we have a little bit of power over somebody else, we kind of crave more. And we start chipping away at little things where it's that person, he hit me. We should take his free will away because obviously he's not responsible with it. Which I would be like, okay, yeah. But then you keep going. And eventually we get to that person says something mean. And I didn't like that. So we should take their free will away. And a lot of people are going to misunderstand me and think I'm trying to say some political thing. And I'm not. I'm not that political of a person. I don't really care that much. These are just things that I think about. However, when you try to impose your own free will onto them, that's where we have issues. See, everyone has free will. But some people, they use their free will, they use that freedom to essentially push whatever agendas they have onto other people. And a lot of times it works. Just like any other part of this conversation, it's complicated, right? Because imposing your free will on somebody else sounds bad, but it's not always. Because with things like war and colonization and profiteering comes other things where free will is opposed on somebody else. It could be good, i.e. a mother with her baby, or a teacher with their student, or if there's an emergency and some firefighter comes, you're going to listen to the firefighter immediately without asking questions. So there's instances where it's good. And if this was like 75 years ago, I would say listening to the government, but we're not really there anymore. So the thing about free will is that it's not free. It's not free at all. There's consequences. If you decide just randomly one day to punch someone in the face, it's your right to do that. And when I mean right, I don't mean like it's in the Bill of Rights. I mean it's your human right. You have the freedom to do that. But also you can't really be all of a sudden surprised when that person turns around and dragon kicks you in the throat. That's free will. And free will have consequences. And a lot of people don't think about that. They don't think about how their actions affect other people, because it's always a trickle down, no matter what. And a lot of people don't think about what their actions do or mean for other people. You see, there are things that are in place today that were made hundreds of years ago by other people's free will, and they affect us today. See, it was their God-given right to make those choices, and whether they knew it or not, it was going to be affecting us to this day. There's choices that people in your family have made that you had no say in, and it's the reason why you are in the position you are right now. That doesn't mean your position can't change. That's kind of up to your own free will, and also acknowledging that other people's free will also exists. A lot of people are suffering and they don't even know why. There's a lot of habits that were formed by one person in their family and then passed down from generation to generation, and then they wonder why they struggle in certain areas. People be like, oh, high blood pressure runs in my family. I mean, yeah, of course it runs in your family. Have you looked at the recipes your grandma used to make? There's nothing but lard in it, or it's something more serious. Like, my dad didn't have a father, and I didn't have a father. And now I got this girl pregnant, and I've never had a example of what a good father looks like. So how do I be something that I've never seen? And in those moments, then there comes a choice. And it's a choice that you have to make for you. And things like that, where the chips are all on the table, no one else is around, and you have to make that choice. Am I going to man up and be a father to this kid? Or am I going to follow in the generations past footsteps and run away, thus continuing the cycle? And that's kind of goes back to my first point, where influences in your environment aren't the end all be all. In every environment and every influence, there's individual choice of whether you're going left or going right, whether you say yes or say no, whether you stay or whether you go. That could be a song. Hold up now. And in that, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for their own choices. They want to blame their environment. They want to blame the people around them. They want to blame, I had no choice but to do that. I don't know any better. Sometimes it's true. It's really hard to change if you don't know better. Some people genuinely don't know better. And in this video, I don't want to make it seem like I have all the answers, because I don't. I'm 23. I don't really know a lot. But I do think there are certain things that are perpetuated through society that don't help anybody. And this thing of, because you grew up in it, that's the only thing that you can be, is ludicrous. That's not the only thing you can be. There's so much more. There's so much deeper. In this video, I kind of want to get that point across. With every action, there's another action. Some people will call that a reaction. But the thing about a reaction is, just because we made that choice doesn't mean the reaction will be technically made back to us. See, humans are complicated. So if I make an action and it pushes someone else to make another action, that would be a reaction to what I did. But the action that person is making doesn't necessarily have to be pointing at me. It may be pointing at somebody else. Then that person makes a reaction. And then that person makes a reaction to somebody else. And then somebody else, and then somebody else, and so on and so forth. And that's how free will works, is that there's always a choice. Sometimes someone may take it well, and they choose how they react to that situation. Sometimes people may not, and they choose to react badly. And we pass that on. And so what I'm trying to say with this video, because I feel like it's getting a little bit convoluted, and I want to simplify it with this. We all exist together. We're all human. Whether we like each other or hate each other, that's just a fact. We all have to exist on this planet together until Elon takes us to Mars, I guess. But we all have to exist on this planet together for now. And I want us, before Elon takes us to Mars, is try to figure out some things here, because if we don't figure out some things here, when we get to Mars, the same things will happen. Free will is as complicated as any other part of the human condition. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it'll leave you in awe of the wonders that we could create. And then sometimes it'll leave you devastated that we can be so heinous. But it's necessary, because we all have to make our choices of what type of people we're going to become. So I challenge you to make one good choice. One good choice. Just one. Because you never know. You never know how it's going to affect somebody. How it may brighten up somebody's day. You never know who's not used to it and really needs it. Well, that's the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments. This is kind of more of the video I want to do more of in the future. The first one was kind of more of an introductory to who I was, who I am. And this is more so what I'm going for. Just things that are interesting to me, and hopefully things that we can talk about. And so if you did enjoy it, or, you know, you had a different opinion of mine, please actually let me know in the comments. I would really love to hear anything. I really appreciate it. Well, I guess that's the video. And I'll see you guys next time. Dangerous game. Just a moment with the wrong thought, here comes the downfall like a flood.